into the hands of Gaddafi's regime.
Is the money from the central bank being used for the good of Libya, for the citizens and for his economy, or is being used as the pocket money from the Gaddafi family to do whatever they are doing right now in Libya? That's a big question mark that no one can answer. But at the moment, the sanctions in Europe are only targeting individuals, so like the family of Muammar Gaddafi, and they are not targeting institutions such as the central bank.
The web of international sanctions brought down on the Libyan government has plenty of gaps in it. AlJazeera understands businesses from China, India and Austria are still buying Libyan oil completely legally. That's not to say the violence isn't hurting the government's pockets, though.
A lot of the foreign oil companies have pulled their staff out. These staff are essential for the operations that are taking place there. So while production is continuing just now at much reduced levels, in the long term, this is not sustainable.
Libya's oil fields, like the ones in the Sirte Basin, El Bouri and El Hamra, provide Colonel Gaddafi's regime with 80% of its revenue. In 2010, exports were about 1.3 million barrels a day. Last week, that had slumped to under 600,000 barrels a day, and it's still falling. But despite Libya's financial vulnerability, there's been little international talk of an oil embargo. There's scant desire for action which might push oil prices higher, regardless of how many Libyan lives that oil money may cost. Rory Challens, AlJazeera.
To Somalia now, where African Union peacekeepers and government troops are claiming some success against al-Shabaab fighters. The joint forces say they've captured key positions in the north of the capital, Mogadishu. Commanders say they're also now in control of Beled Hawa on the Kenyan border. Dozens of fighters are reported to have been killed in hours of gun battles. But the African Union is also paying a heavy price. It's thought more than 50 peacekeepers have been killed in the past 2 weeks. Major General Nathan Mugisha from the AU's peacekeeping force AMISOM explained the significance of the Mogadishu offensive.
Troops from the Burundi contingent provided support to the TFG forces to capture two key grounds, which are the former Ministry of Defense building, Gashandiga, which I referred to, and the milk factory. Gashandiga previously served as the extremist major operational and logistic base.
Meanwhile, the peacekeeping force in Côte d'Ivoire is to be reinforced by 2,000 soldiers and 2 combat helicopters. They're being drafted in as a political standoff between rival presidential claimants Laurent Gbagbo and Alassane Ouattara shows no sign of being resolved. Some of the fiercest fighting happened in a suburb of Abidjan on Thursday, when at least 6 female demonstrators were killed. US President Barack Obama has appealed for political opponents to meet halfway on the country's proposed budget. He made the remarks during his weekly radio and internet address.
We need to come together, Democrats and Republicans, around a long-term budget that sacrifices wasteful spending without sacrificing the job-creating investments in our future. My administration's already put forward specific cuts that meet congressional Republicans halfway, and I'm prepared to do more. But we'll only finish the job together by sitting at the same table, working out our differences, and finding common ground.
In China, Premier Wen Jiabao has pledged to reduce inflation and corruption and raise his people's income levels. Wen told the National People's Congress in Beijing the measures are necessary to maintain social stability. In California, a protest by the right-wing Tea Party movement has provoked an outcry from the Muslim community. A speaker at the fundraising event outraged conservatives. Their reaction frightened and appalled people at the charity event. Rob Reynolds has the story from Yorba Linda in California's Orange County.
Anti-Muslim protesters hurl insults and abuse at people attending an Islamic charity fundraiser in Yorba Linda, California. The February 13th incident is seen by area Muslims as new and disturbing evidence of Islamophobia among some sections in America's right-wing Tea Party movement. Shahid Hussein took his family to the charity event.
This is the first time in America I get scared for my children.
They're saying go back home and get out of our country and all that. Makes me feel that I'm like, no, I don't belong here, like, and I'm not wanted.
What was perhaps most disturbing for the people who were here that night was learning that an elected public official at the protest rally appeared to be calling for violence against Muslims.
I don't even care if you think I'm crazy anymore.
That's Deborah Pauly, a Republican and member of the nearby Villa Park City Council.
I know quite a few Marines who will be very happy to help these terrorists to an early meeting in paradise.
Conservative Tea Party activists who organized the protest say it was meant to condemn the presence of speakers at the fundraiser, including Siraj Wahhaj. U.S. prosecutors had linked Wahhaj to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, but he was never charged and has denied any involvement.
We are here to declare that radical Islam, Sharia, is not welcome in our communities.
Lugo and others at the rally have tried to distance themselves from the more outspoken protesters.
None of the organizers knew who any of them were.
25-year-old Maheen Siddiqui attended the fundraiser.
It was really scary because at one point they started banging on the windows when people were praying, banging the walls with their shoes.
But she says she and others in the community will not be intimidated.
Just because I'm a Muslim doesn't make me any less American.
Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Yorba Linda, California.
Internet activists in America claim to have had a hand in the popular uprisings which brought down the governments of Tunisia and Egypt. Members of the group, called Anonymous, have told Al Jazeera they hacked into the websites of those governments and caused them to crash. Al Jazeera's Scott Heidler has the story.
Hello world, we are Anonymous.
As a movement, they say they don't have a political stance and they don't even have a members list. But they do have the power to assist revolutionaries and bring down the websites of multi-billion-dollar corporations. They call themselves Anonymous, a group of nameless internet activists or hacktivists. A few from their operations arm spoke with us via video chat.
Anonymous or Anon has been described in many ways, a collective, a movement. What are you guys and what do you stand for?
There are a lot of ideas in Anon. The best way to describe it is the freedom of speech, freedom of information, and the freedom of expression taken to a logical extreme.
You've also been called thugs. Do you break the law?
Some of the things we do are illegal, but sometimes we need to do illegal things to make change. I wouldn't call us thugs. We're certainly not thugs. We're not anything like that. Criminals, I guess. We are breaking laws, but for the greater good.
So where do these hacktivists come from and who are they?
I think for the younger generation, in Anonymous and outside of Anonymous, it's kind of the face of protesting for the digital age. It's people who are getting their sense of humor, getting their culture from online, and going out there and taking it to the streets.
Anon hacked the corporate websites of Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal in response to their move to stop processing donations for anti-secrecy organization WikiLeaks.
A lot of what we've done as far as hacking and the release of material, we specifically aim to avoid hurting people. I mean, you look at the Visa, MasterCard attacks, we brought down their websites as opposed to, hitting the infrastructure that would have prevented their services from working. We could have done that, but we didn't.
Of late, Anonymous has aligned themselves with the uprisings in the Arab world.